Wagwan Generals. I'm back. He's back. He's back in the country. Um, I was caught like mid corporate form, so I threw glasses over the glasses and threw on a bucket hat, so I'm not a complete op. So please excuse the double glasses that's going on here. We are back, and Kieran's back from Merida. I heard your flight got rerouted like 8 times. Like, what's going on? Give us the lore real quick here.
Yeah, on the way there, I was supposed to go on the Thursday because I normally like get in tournaments early, so like I'm well rested. And then like Merida is a cool city, so like I was gonna go to Uxmal, some cenotes. On the Thursday, like they were unserious, and like my first flight got delayed by so long I was gonna miss my connection, so I had to go on Friday. That was annoying. So I had a 7-hour layover on Friday in Houston, so I had the whole day there. And on the way
Yeah.
home, my first flight was to Houston again, and then there was like a thunderstorm or something, so they had to like land us in Corpus Christi so we could refuel and wait for a thunderstorm and then go back. And I missed my connection as well, so I had to spend even more time at the Houston airport until I could finally get to Toronto.
Shout
So
out Houston.
I left Merida, like my hotel at like 6 in the morning, and then I got to my apartment like basically just before 12 at night. So very long day yesterday, but we're back.
Ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And you're back, and there's a giant snowstorm tonight, so good timing.
Yep, exactly. I was a
Yeah.
bit worried that I was also gonna get caught in that on the way back. So
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty bad. Like, I'm planning on I'm going down for the Raptors game tonight for the Vince Carter Dunkiversary that I know you're not a fan of. But I'm not planning on getting home tonight. Like, I'm just gonna seek refuge somewhere downtown. Like,
nice.
it's that bad. So we'll see how the snowstorm is. If you're in Toronto, buckle up. All right. What do we got to talk about today? We got Merida that happened over the weekend. Azul proved that he's just I don't know, man. He's just different. Like, I don't really have much else to say about this guy at this point.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
we're laughing because I think last week I like compared him to Anthony Davis. I'm like, oh, like Anthony Davis is always injured. Azul doesn't play tournaments anymore. Then all of a sudden, Azul's like, oh, JK, I'm playing. Then wins the regional. So I'll take credit for
that's
the
insane.
motivation. So, uh,
That
yeah,
is absolutely insane. Comparing him to AD is just devious work, to be honest.
I thought it was a good comparison, bro. About the availability. Like like doesn't play anymore.
He's not like injured though. He's just making bags off streaming. He doesn't need to
Yeah,
play.
yeah,
It's like if AD was like a basketball player and also like a COD streamer or something.
but
Like
there's like no
that's
injuries
kind of
in
the comparison.
Pokemon, so I was like, okay, but
Yeah, I guess not.
yeah, I mean, I was talking to Azul. He said he's gonna actually. It sounds like he's gonna compete at most of the tournaments left this year. So he's actually he has the chance to try and get to
There
like
you
those
go.
10 regional wins. Uh,
I actually you know this, right? I played a tournament on morphine before. So there is injuries in Pokemon, technically. I dislocated my ankle the day before the tourney and I couldn't walk without pain. So I was just like absolutely just drugged up playing Pokemon. I got my Worlds invite that day. So there
nice.
are injuries in Pokemon. It's just how do you adapt to them? And maybe someone could get hurt on their way to their table. They slip on a wet floor and they're down for the count.
That's
I don't know,
true.
man. I've never seen it. I don't want to see it, but it is possible. So since you called out Azul, I think he took that one personally because he took Miraidon, also a deck that Loki, like in historically, I don't think he approved of really, right? Like talked a lot of gauze about Miraidon in the past, I believe. Um, took that deck, ran the table, beat Gouging Fire in the finals, which I'm pretty confident can't be a good matchup given Gouging Fire's HP and the fact he doesn't play Zapdos. Um, so what do we have to say about Azul right now? Like where is he in the all-time rankings at this very moment?
I mean, we had him at third when we made our list. I think he's still at third. Like, I think it's just really hard, right? Because
Mm,
Tord and Jason are the two guys ahead of him. So it's like
yeah.
he probably needs to win Worlds to jump either of them, or he has to get all the
He's like a high
ICs.
tier third now. Like he's got a
Yeah, it's
good
like a
like
locked.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Interesting. We gotta have that talk another day. And I see Leandro Fernandez there as well. That's a Toronto man.
Yeah, he got
So
top four in Ryan. Lots of
there you
Rhino was
go.
just doing well. I think Raphael is probably his friend because I think they played the same list.
Mm.
Yeah,
All
top
right,
cut
let's break this thing down then.
was very weird. So yeah, we can start with Rhino. I think his list was honestly pretty standard. There wasn't anything crazy when I looked at it.
Hmm.
There was maybe just like some omissions, like he just didn't play Zapdos. I actually asked him about it. He just said he's like, oh, I didn't expect Arcaludon to be that popular. So he's like, you don't really need it against much else, which fair enough.
And he made a good decision to be honest, because
Yeah,
Arcaldon wasn't really that popular.
yeah, I did too. But like honestly, I don't think Arcaludon's that good. Um,
Yeah.
so it's like, yeah, that's like fair call. It's like if you expect to be at the top table, so you can expect that not to be there. He played the switch cart, so he wasn't losing to any like Sob or Mawile lock shenanigans. Other than that, everything's just like super normal. I guess the Rotom. I think I really like Rotom in this format. I mean, everyone's blind seconding not everyone, but like most decks are going to blind second. So just having that option, especially against decks that have Bidoof, to set yourself up, draw the boss's orders for turn 2. So, yeah, I think this is going to be the gold standard. Like, if you going forward, if someone's playing Rhydon against me, I'm just going to assume they're playing this list.
Yeah, like to the Zapdos point, I actually don't think like you need it anyways. Like to be honest, because it's like you play on the notion that your one prize Pokemon's always going to be Magneton, right? So the games that you bench Zapdos, your Magneton's immediately like way less effective. Obviously, it's great at like streaming your own attacks, but you lose that like that edge of having the 7 prize game. So that's the thing about Zapdos. And I've done a lot of thinking about it. Like, is this card worth it? I'm sure there are times where it is, but it sucks to start it or like have a scenario where like it's on the board and you just can't get rid of it. So that was interesting. I don't think Zapdos should be in lists personally, but that's just me. As for Rotom, our open list king Nick Moffat has been on this for like a year and a half. He proposed. You were in the hotel room that day, I think, in Vancouver last year. That we play Miraidon with Rotom, or maybe Nick wasn't in the hotel room or something. But I ended up playing.
Hotel room. It was just me, you, and Charles DeBreton, I think, was our hotel.
Oh yeah, and Drew.
And Drew. Wait, did Drew stay with us? He was in our hotel room. But
no, he came and played 2005 when we should have been testing modern.
Okay.
I think.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, I think Nick was like messaging me or something. We were talking about it, and he was on Rotom from time, and I played at that tournament. It felt pretty good. So this Rotom thing isn't entirely new, but it's super cool, and I think right now it's really good because you can just go first and kind of just draw some cards and not have to worry about having a dead hand, which with this version of Miraidon happens a lot. Like I would almost argue that like my like whatever LAIC garbage was less bricky than the new modern Miraidon sometimes. Just because of how like few draw sporters you play. You don't play any in this list, right?
Yeah.
So you prize Squawk, you prize Fez, you're in trouble. So I really do like the Rotom as well.
Yep, agreed. Because I mean, once you get set up, like the deck is pretty low maintenance. You just need generators and boss pretty much every turn.
Yeah, you're just cooling.
So yeah, I think let me click on his name. How many? So that's 7 regionals in the modern era. I think he won 1 before the modern era as well, or he might have more, but.
That's nuts, bro.
Yeah, he has 29 top cuts in the modern era. That is insane.
Damn, bro. He's making a software dev salary there, 142K.
Yeah.
That's wild, bro.
Honestly, like, this is a lot of money, but, like, it's not that much for, like, how much success he's had. Like, you kind of, like, imagine
when
if,
you
like...
consider...
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I would say, imagine if we had, like, modern prizing the whole time. Like, how much higher this number would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, when you consider, like, how many years across this spanned, like...
Yeah.
It's not really that much. Like it's like almost like poverty level income if you like divide it over the amount of years he's played. So it's not really possible without coaching and streaming to play this game full time, no matter how good you are.
3, 4, like 5, 6, 7. Yeah, he's missed like 8 modern seasons. So yeah.
So that's it's like
not
30K.
Even 20,000. It's not even 20,000 a year.
Yeah, 20K. Yeah. So you're not making a whole lot.
I mean, it's still pretty cool. I'm sure he's pretty high up on the all-time money list. So.
Always cool to make 6 figures off your side gig for sure.
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of curious who's the highest on the money list. Let's see.
Yeah, it's so weird though, because like if you factored in like past events with before money and stuff, this would be so different.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't. Okay, Tord, no surprise. Azul and Brent. There's only 3 people who've reached over 100, and it's not surprising like who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to imagine Ian's gonna join them soon. He's 10K away. Gustavo's close. Radner actually has a lot too. He's a lot younger than everyone on this list. So
77, not bad.
Yeah, Gabriel Fernandez is a senior. Is like 3/4.
That is nuts, bro.
I think Worlds is carrying him a little bit, but yeah, that's insane.
Was it 20 bans for Worlds?
Yeah, this was Japan Worlds, I think.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oh wait. Yeah, no, 25 for Japan, and then like if he would have won like this year's World, I think it went up to 50 or something. So he has 45 because he got top 4 this Worlds as well. So that's insane, seniors. But yeah, you look at this list.
It's a good college fund right there, bro.
Yeah, it's all people that we recognize. So, cool. Yeah, but let's talk about Neil's second place. Mauricio, Gouging Fire, strongest soldier. Gave it a great finish. I mean, honestly, I did not have this on my radar. I've always thought Gouging Fire is a bit of a meme, but I mean, it's a deck that's always played Monkey Dory. I guess Monkey Dory is better in this format because Dragapult is going up in play. I'm sure he used Delphog's V a couple times against the evolution decks. Like you were saying, like with Bravery Charm, Gouging Fire actually does have a lot of health against Miraidon. I would imagine the matchup's favorite on paper. I do know he got donked in game 3, which is kind of unfortunate. He didn't really get the chance to
Hmm.
play it out, but Neil's Gouging Fire gonna join the meta now. Is this gonna be like a real deck?
I don't see why not. If it got that far in a regionals, like I don't see why not. I don't think it's top tier. I think Miraidon outclasses it in a lot of ways. Um, but it's cool. I mean, like, who doesn't like seeing random decks like this pop up, right? I think the first time Gouging Fire went crazy, we were like salivating over it on here. I'm pretty sure. So, like, I would not be surprised to see a lot of people pick this up.
Yeah, it's like cool. It's just like again, like falls into it. Kind of is just like Miraidon, right? It's in a different coat of paint. I guess without hands.
You have a
Just
little bit more like counterplay, I guess.
it's more
There's a little
tanky,
bit
I
more you can
guess.
do with it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have monkeys, you've Flutterman, like you Delphox. It's a little bit less one dimensional, I think,
Yeah.
which makes it kind of attractive. I also really like the Roxanne. I feel like Roxanne's like a lost art.
Yeah, I guess it's just hard because like even against like Miraidon, for example, it's like if they have Fez and Mew on their board, it's like, okay, well you Roxanne them and they're still drawing until they have like
Yeah.
at minimum they get to C6. So um
I like it with the secret box though, because it's like it's findable. You have the pal pad, you have the
yep.
force stone, like you have shoes. You know, I'm a big fan of playing 56 card decks. This falls right into that. Um, but I like it. I think this deck is really cool. And you hit, I mean, like you hit like Goldengo and like Archaludon for weakness. I don't know how much that's worth, but
Archaludon takes away its weakness, but
yeah, but if
yeah.
it's on the bench,
Yeah, it's on the benching boss, yeah.
because normally they have more than one
That's
anyway.
true.
So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, this doesn't play bundle. I was gonna say you could also bundle boss if you needed to get through it.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it seems pretty cool. I really like it. I'm kind of surprised it doesn't play Radzard and plays Ninja instead. But I guess it's like
I
kind
think
of
you just need to
integral
get
for
them.
drawing cards.
Yeah, because you play Magma Basin and Sada, so I feel like you kind of just need that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so
Cool
pretty
deck.
cool. Yeah, I don't think this will like jump up in meta share like crazy, but maybe it becomes like a 2% type of deck. But the Faithful for Gouging Fire definitely gonna get going there. Yeah, we can quickly look at
Go with the gouge.
Leandro's Magneton list, or not Magneton list, Rhydon list. I think it's like very similar. What's even different here?
If not exactly the same.
I
I
think
think
it's
there's
I
an
think
extra energy in
it's
Azul's.
second forest over the extra energy, and then 60 HP Magnemite over 50 HP Magnemite. I think. Otherwise, I can't see a
Some
different.
real creativity coming from these Miraidon lists today.
Yeah, I mean, like the deck's so solved that it's like kind of hard to have a lot of deviation.
There's
Uh,
not much you need to do other than what the base list does anyways, right? Like what could you even add that's different? Like Tapu Koko EX? Like I don't know,
yeah,
man.
like
You're already covering all your bases.
exactly. So the other top four deck, the Cloth, this also fell to Azul, which I feel like this is probably like slightly favored for Cloth, even though the matchup's kind of close. Um, yeah, I mean, like people are hyping this up a bit, like because you get Badoo with the Binding Mochi, so with the Sneasler, Binding Mochi, and all that, you're doing 80 with the Irritating Pollen, which is pretty decent to be honest. Against the evolution decks like Dragapult and Gardevoir, you're like one-shotting like their little guys, while item locking, which is pretty strong. I still think Gardevoir is a very poor matchup. I still think Lugia is a very poor matchup. I'm sure Dragapult's a close matchup. Miraidon's probably a good matchup. So I mean, if Miraidon's going up in play, like I do think that kind of opens the door a little bit for Cloth, and you do see them. Like I've seen this. Like I played against once too. Like they're all playing Black Belch training now to try and get through those Gardevoirs. So they do have some counterplay. So, Neil, what's your thoughts on the Cloth deck going forward?
Pretty I don't know, like this deck is so cool because you win so many games just off cheese. Like you can just donk people for no reason, which I think is pretty cool. And you have Badoo obviously to lock people out. Is the one cloth two heavy ball thing normal?
Yeah, I forget if it was the very first Cloths list or someone else, but I remember seeing two Heavy Ball for a bit.
Okay. I
Because you
don't think
just
I've
play
ever
so
seen
many
that
one-of
before.
Pokemon. I think Robin might have played two Heavy Ball, or the guy who originally did well with Cloth Traffic has played two.
Hmm.
Because there's just like so many one-of Pokemon, right?
Yeah, I guess you'd rather play one cloth than one Terrapago, so I guess that makes sense. Just off like the bench space thing. But that does seem a little bit I don't want to say greedy, like this guy top forward. I can't really call his list greedy, but does feel like I'd want more than one cloth, especially in a meta full of Miraidons all over the place. That's one change I'd probably make going forward. But other than that, like the list is strong. Like the deck is just fast. It hits hard. You're gonna choose wins, like I said. And you don't need to do much else. Like, it's pretty beginner friendly as well. Like you're not doing anything insane most of the time.
Yeah,
It's personally not my kind of deck because I don't like having all like the bench liabilities just there to lose me games whenever they want to. But I do like the idea of having patch. I do like the idea of you have access to bear, you have access to fez, you have access to fish. So you have a lot of tools in here, which is really, really cool. Um, will it make a mainstay in the meta going forward? I don't know. Like you mentioned, has some bad matchups, but I'm sure with the right pilot and a little bit of luck, you can get pretty far in a tourney with this.
Exactly. Like, it's just a cool deck, so maybe it'll jump off a meta share bit as well. Okay,
Yeah.
what else was in top 8? Dragapult, there's a lot in top 16, but there's only one in top 8. Brent lost in ASIM. Him and Aiden played the same list. Yeah, when I looked at it, some things that like really stood out to me was they didn't play TM Evolution, and only one Badu. So I guess when they went second, they were really just like banking on the Badu. They weren't even like looking into that TM Evo angle, or they would just Rotom even when they went second. So I mean, I think Dragapult going in was expected to be the most popular deck. I think it was. I think it performed okay. I mean, I think just a lot of good players played it. And I mean, I think that showed in its result when I was looking at the placements. Like Diego Costarago played it, Brent played it, Aiden played it. They played like the 3 Duskull here, very heavy on that.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
So yeah, they played Tempo for Lugia, respecting that matchup, which I think you probably should have. Otherwise, pretty normal, I think. They had the vacuum, so they were ready for like Bravery Charms and Maridon, for example. I guess they went up against Heroes Cape Guardi as well. They have this. So yeah, this list is like
That's
probably
cool.
it just feels pretty vanilla besides the TM Evo, and just like by the power of the deck and the power of the players.
I really like the adaptation of these lists to play Lance now, instead of relying so heavily on items. I think that's pretty cool. That was one of those cards that when it came out was like really, really hyped up. People were stocking up on like full arts and stuff because they thought it was gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, this list is pretty vanilla as you mentioned, but I do like the heavy dust line. Like you're kind of going down the route of oppression. Like you just want to just destroy people's boards before they can even start, which
Yep.
is pretty strong. And I mean, Dusknoir is insane. So you combine that with probably the best attack in the game with Dragapult, and you have a recipe for pretty good success there.
Yeah, I think this deck also has a good Maridon matchup, which is appealing. Like
Yes,
it's
for sure.
slightly favored. It's not like overwhelmingly favored, but I think going forward that's a nice thing for this deck. So I don't expect this deck to fall off at all. Expect it to keep doing well. People will kind of use this list to go off of. So cool. And then our last unique deck in the top cut was Michael Davidson playing the Heroes Cape Gardevoir. From my understanding, this was advised by Henry Chow that this was the way to play Gardevoir. I know Josh Frank also played Heroes Cape. I think he finished like top 64. Yeah, it's like it's kind of similar. Like it takes aspects of what I've been seeing in Japan with like the triple monkey, triple dark, and then just adds in that Heroes Cape. And I think Heroes Cape was actually really smart for this weekend. Like Lugia is like probably a really close matchup, and like they added the Spiritomb tech for it and Heroes Cape, so it's like really hard for Chinchino, even Drapion, to get through the Gardevoir. And then a lot of other matchups just like solid, right? Like against Dragapult, you can even put this down on like one of your Curlias or like a Ralt or something and like protect it from Phantom Dive. So just really, really smart, I think. And then they played triple TM Evo, just like naturally draw it more turn 1 or turn 2, which I also thought was pretty clever. And then it just becomes discard fodder as the game goes on. Cresselia for Mirror and for Dragapult. I really like Cresselia. I've been playing Cresselia. And they had Mimikyu, and the rationale was against Maridon. You actually put this on your bench, so if your opponent does bundle, you just push it up and they can't do hands. Which again, just really ingenious tech there coming from this group. And they had the Mawile as well if they wanted to go for that strategy. So yeah, credit again to the GOAT Henry Chow for coming up with a very unique take on Gardevoir that paid off for Michael this weekend.
Yeah. What have we learned? We've learned to never question Henry, like ever. What he's doing is so calculated and so intense that honestly, it's just one of those things. He's just a great deck builder.
Yeah.
Like to go into this tournament and not play Drifloon and you play triple Monkey Dory and you play triple Dark, you play Hero's Cape over Secret Box and Unfair Stamp. It's such a like brave take on what Gardevoir is, and it really goes to show how much they kind of see outside the box of what's normal and what's kind of accepted, quote unquote. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, man. If I saw Gardevoir and I saw no Drifloon, I saw no Bravery Charm, I'd be like, what the hell is going on here? I would not assume that it's as strong as this is. So very like obviously Miracle Force heavy kind of build. You're looking to heal with your monkeys and hit with Miracle Force as often as you can, but you also have a lot of tools. Like you mentioned, you have the Spiritomb Heroes Cape for Lugia, you have the Cresselia for Mirror plus Dragapult, you have the Mimikyu for Miraidon, and when you think about all that, there's not a whole lot of matchups they left out. You have most of your bases covered, and you have Mawile in case everything just kind of goes to crap, right? So, super intuitive, super cool. Triple TM Evo, like this is just a baller list. I love it.
Yeah, because the idea behind no drifting is with Hero Escape, you just screen tail at the end, which you still need a lot of
Yeah,
energy, but it's definitely possible. So really cool list from there. Other stuff. There was like an Iron Thorns that made ASIM, but that's lame, so we're not gonna talk about it.
that's crazy.
Hedrick made Top Cut with Lost Box with literally like 0 text for Badu. Like,
Who
this
needs it?
is this just Hedrick diff? Like, what is this?
This
Like,
might be. Yeah, we were playing. My group was playing a little bit of Lost Box for last little while. I was playing a lot of Lost Tina too, and I found that Badu wasn't as like crazy as I thought it was. For a couple reasons. First reason is like you have ways still to retreat. You can get 2 flower selects off per turn minimum, which is not bad. Like you can still kind of deal with that.
hmm?
And if you get into Colress, you're pretty much okay. Because as slow as you are setting up, they're also kind of slow, and you can maintain this one prize board state where it doesn't really matter too much if you fall behind. The other thing I realized through trial and error was that I could actually just KO Badu's using Comfy's spinning attack. So I started doing that for a while because it hits 30. So if you're like ever like super locked, Comfy's still a decent attacker. Like you can still use it. The other thing that I also found was that the meta wasn't really prepared for Lost Box or Lost Zone shenanigans in general. A lot of people weren't really playing around these things anymore. Like a lot of mana fees have been cut, stuff like that, and so there's a lot of space to kind of go and run with it. And you just strong your Lost Zone box. And
Yeah.
like you said, Hedrick's an unreal player, so this is also kind of Hedrick diff.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, none of the Gardevoirs are playing Klefki, and, like, a lot of them weren't playing Fluttermane either, which is great for this deck. And you have Bundle if they do play
Yeah,
the Flutter, so. And if Guardy starts playing Cape instead of playing Stamp, that's also, I think, better for you, so. Yeah,
there's
there's
not
a.
a Cure in sight.
Yeah, like, the meta could be
Pretty
opening
good.
up, and we can talk about this later, but, like, Badu kind of hasn't been the impressive force we thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like we even just looked at Gardevoir and they didn't play Badu, right? So it's like it's really only of the popular decks like Dragapult that plays it. Then there's like other random decks that are gonna play it, like the Cloth deck. But yeah,
hmm
Badu is not seeing the play that we originally I think thought it was going to see.
And
I
this version as well is also like a Pikachu version, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you
Like
have
the
to do that to one shot stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. But there was a lot of different ways that this deck has been kind of adapted in the past little while as well. Like there was a lot of versions that were not kind of playing around Pikachu. There's a lot of versions that were doing different things. So the fact that the Pikachu one is doing well, and like Pikachu's an annoying card, man. Like just to kill that thing is
Yeah,
is absolutely just a gong show. So it makes sense why this did well. And like you said, I think the meta kind of opens up for this.
agreed. Um, After that, there's nothing too crazy. I know Pablo lost his win in the Pidgeot. We had a Raging Bolt top 32. Like Golden Goat just missed out
Yeah,
on top
Lugia is.
32. Yeah. This Lugia we talking about next. Lugia actually had a really good conversion rate today too, it just didn't finish near the top. So if we look at the meta share, it was like day 2, 20% Pult, 18% Guardy, 17.5% Lugia. So then going into the tournament, everyone agreed these are the big 3 decks, and like they definitely showed that they still are.
hmm
Um, I do think like the amount of Miraidon at the top tables was definitely keeping Lugia down a bit. And also there just weren't that many like top players playing Lugia at this tournament. I don't think. It just seemed like Dragapult or Miraidon and Gardevoir were the decks of choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I played Lugia. I finished 65th. I just missed out uh,
F.
on top 64. I lost my win in top 32 for money, which was sad. But
Mm.
yeah, I thought we could quickly go over my run real quick and just
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
playing Lugia. So this is the list I settled on. I played 1-1 Chinchino. I really wanted to play 0 Chinchino because I expected the metagame to be just like Dragapult, Guardy, Lugia, and Miraidon. I'm like, you don't really need Chinchino for that. And I mean, I was correct. That was the meta. But I faced 0 Gardevoir and 0 Dragapult. So I think I would have probably done really poorly if I played against that. Um, there's 1-1 Chinchino just when you play up against random decks. Like if you hit stuff like Arcaladon, you hit stuff like, I don't know, Drago, you hit stuff like Raging Bolt. Like just having the 1-1 Chinchino is just like really helpful. And it was useful in like a lot of my matchups this weekend, so I was glad to have it. Since I'm only playing 1-1 Chinchino, I played the Drapion for Gardevoir. Since you do need like multiple ways to knock out Gardevoir. I played 0, so Drapion was just a dead card the whole weekend, which is fine.
Nice.
It was still correct to play. I just didn't hit Guardy. I played Water Pawn, which I honestly think the card is like so mediocre. But I was just like, I think like half the Miraidons I play against like aren't gonna play Switch Cart. Just having the option to saw block. Then even against decks like Gardevoir, it's like just having the option to like torrential pump and put pressure. I thought was good. I didn't really use it the whole weekend either. I used it maybe like one game. My support line is the same as I've always played. I had a Thornton in the 1-1 build originally, so I could reuse Gigas, like make Chinchino out of nowhere. But I just like came to the conclusion that like I can just manage my resources and find prize maps without needing that card. And I think I was right. There wasn't like a single game this weekend where I'm like I would have won if I had that. I still kept Weird Ear. The card's super good. You can just create checkmate boards, or you can preemptively put energy into play and then finish it off with that guy. So I love Weird Ear. That's not coming out. And otherwise, my list was pretty standard from what I normally play. I cut the V-Guard for Mist just because like there's very few decks that are V Pokemon anymore. And Dragon Pulse is so popular. And my one thing I was thinking too was like if you go up against Regidrago, which is the one matchup where V-Guard's the best, it's like one, they play Temple now. Two is they should blind second always in this format, so like you get to go first anyways. But honestly, if someone plays against me, they probably know I'm playing Lugia, so they probably would still pick first blind. So I guess for me specifically, it doesn't really work, but for everyone else playing Lugia, I think it works. So yeah, we can go through my matchups. Super jank. Like I played against Charizard. I tied 2 Raging Bolts in day 1, which was like so annoying.
What the heck am I looking at, bro? What is this? This is so jank.
Yeah, I got egregiously unlucky in both these Raging Bolts ties, but it is what it is. Also, the pace of play was like very slow this weekend. I think the tie rate overall for the tournament was 19-20%. And I don't think it's just because like the Mexican players are playing slow. It's because for most of them, it was their first time ever playing a regional. Like they hadn't had a regional since. This is the first time they've had one since COVID. So like most of my opponents I was talking to, it was like their first regional. So I think they weren't really used to playing best of 3.
The other thing is Badoo though. Like Badoo slows down the game a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, like I'm tying Raging Bolt out here, like.
I get that. I'm just saying for the tie rate in general, like Badoo slows games down, bro.
It does. The format is slower for sure. The decks that are good, like Gardevoir and Pult. So
there aren't mans like Curaming 3 people on turn 2 anymore. Like it's not that.
So yeah, I mean, like I faced Toronto local Julian. He's been on our pod before. Round 4, that was funny.
That guy's a rat. I love Julian.
Yeah, we're just joking there. I played I think one of my best games of the tournament. This one, I like literally prize map like all 16 energy from my first knockout, and I won with exactly 16 energy. It was very nice.
Was he? Sorry, he was round 4.
Yeah, he was playing Arcaludon without Dialga. Honestly, the matchup felt pretty free. Like I'm like,
yeah, it's pretty easy for you to be honest.
Well, because I mean, Arcaludon and Dialga is a deck I've kind of struggled with sometimes with Lugia. But like I don't know, just playing against it more this weekend, I'm like, oh, it's actually not that bad. Like their deck is also kind of a brick, so it's like.
You have so much like power with your legacy energy in that matchup. Like it's so good.
Yeah, and then for him specifically, like he didn't play a way to do more than 220. And then whenever I would attack with Lugia, I would put 2 double turbos so I don't get Relic Camp.
There you go.
I played against a Cerulege deck, which is probably like the freest matchup I could hit, just because like Regigigas one-shots that. I beat Miraidon 2-0 without even using the Saw block, which was kind of crazy. The first game...
They just brick?
No, the first game he knocked out my only Lugia V on turn 1. And I still came back and won, which was crazy, because like, I made a lot of really good reads, I think, this game, being like, yeah, I don't think he has boss, or I don't think he can knock me out. Like, I pushed Iron Hands, he had to hit it for like just too little. His hand was like 8 cards when he's at 2 prizes, and like I made the read that he didn't have boss, so like I didn't Iono him, and I won that from there. So then game 2, he only took a 1 prize knockout on the first turn, so then I just won like 22-2-2. I lost to Ancient Box to end the day, which is a pretty good matchup because like the first game I prized hands and my Chinchino, so I couldn't prize trade properly. Then the second game I went first and didn't open Lugia V, so then I was 1 turn short at the end, which was annoying. I lost to Mirror to start round day 2 because I went second. I mean, like I couldn't really do much. And I had 2 back-to-back wins, and I lost to Golden Go. Game 1 was like a complete brick. Game 2 he bricked. Game 3 was really close, but it was like turn 1 I had to discard like 4 energy, and then I was 1 energy short of doing Wader at the end. It came down to me like Ionoing him to like 1 or 2, and like he had to hit his last 2 SCRs, which he hit. So yeah, very like weird tournament for me in terms of matchups. I was very happy with my list. I think for the most part I played pretty well. Just wasn't my tournament. I didn't really hit stuff like Dragon Bolt that I was trying to hit. But my matchups weren't that bad. Besides hitting like the Miraidon, nothing where I'm like, oh, I'm really upset that I hit this. So
are you going to What's it this week in Puerto Rico or whatever?
No, I'm not going to Puerto Rico.
No.
If it was a regional, I'd probably go, but for a special event, no.
It's so crazy to me how like normalized this has all become. Like people are just like traveling to like everywhere for like special events and like regionals and stuff. It's so crazy because like the concept of even like you remember this like before COVID,
Yeah.
the concept of even like traveling to the States for us for a regional was like so like mind blowing.
Well, to
And now
fly, to
mans are like,
drive
yeah,
wasn't that mind blowing.
yeah, to drive was
Yeah,
like whatever, but to
yeah.
fly, now mans are like, yeah, I'm flying to Puerto Rico for a zero cash prizing event just for fun. So there's a lot of people going down to that, and even Merida I thought was like kind of deep for a regional, but it makes sense for like
I
guys like you
mean,
who really enjoy it.
yeah, it's like Merida's like one of the nicer cities. Like to be like no disrespect, but like it's just nicer than like every American city that gets a regional, right? Like it's hot, like it's like if you want to go to the beach after, there's like more touristy stuff. It's cheaper than like going to the States, right? So it's
Mhm.
like yeah, why not go to Merida, right? Like it's also like an easier tournament because it's like there's less people there.
Yeah,
And, like the player base there is just like less experience. There's like a lot of strong Mexican players, but for most of them, like I was saying, it was just like their first regional. So like I definitely felt like this regional, if like you wanted to get points or a higher chance of like going deep or getting cash, like it was definitely like just it made more sense than like going to like something like San Antonio, for example. Um,
yeah, makes sense.
so yeah, I had a great time, Merida. I always love going to Mexico. Like everyone there is always so hospitable. Um, like just great vibes, great time. So I'm looking forward to going to Monterey for the next one. I think registration's tonight, so I'll try and get into that. Um,
When is that one?
that one's in April. It's like Easter weekend. Um,
Okay,
yeah, so trying
cool, cool,
to
cool.
trying to convince my dad to come, so we can go to
On the
Saltillo.
trip.
Yeah, where I used to live afterwards.
There you go. It's a good selling point.
Yeah, so that's Merida. I think going forward, I think the big question is like, does Miraidon go way up in play and does Lugia go way down in play? The answer is probably like Lugia probably goes down a bit in play. Miraidon probably goes up in play a bit. But I do think people are gonna be ready for it now. So like I don't know, people like for sure in Dragapult they're gonna play backing for the charm. Gardevoirs might start just adapting to the Mimikyu and the Mawile. But I do think Miraidon's gonna have a harder time because, to be honest, outside of the big three decks, like Miraidon's matchup spread is like awful. Like it loses to almost everything else on paper. Um, so I don't know. This might just be like a one-hit wonder for the deck. I mean, also a lot of good players played it this one. So I don't expect another tournament where it gets like 4 top 4 placements, but you never know.
No, the deck is also like one of those things where it's like Cloth, where like you're gonna cheese random wins,
Yeah,
which is pretty sick. It's pretty awesome. Like the deck on paper has always been different to the deck in real life, right? Like I understand the game is not played on paper, but there are decks that sort of like confine to that a little bit more than others. Rhino's definitely one of those anomalies that like you will beat random matchups that you have no business beating just due to the luck of the draw, right? So I think that's attractive for it. I think the deck is fun. It's fast. Like people are kind of bored at this point. I've found from what the meta was, and this is kind of like a I don't know fun fast and a loser win or lose within 3 turns. Like kind of sounds fun to me. I don't
yeah,
know. We'll see.
no, for sure. I will say the format, like it's a lot different than the last one, but it does feel like there's way less deck diversity at the top.
Mm,
So we'll see if we can kind of have some more decks like the cloth one break through. Um, so we'll have to see. Otherwise, yeah,
cool.
there was some new cards that got revealed last week that I thought we could go over quickly. Some of them I thought were pretty good actually. Um, so I think the big one is the Ho-Oh EX. I don't know if you've seen these yet. Um,
I have, yeah.
yeah. So this is the next set for trainers. So it seems like the trainer Pokemon are going to be like a continuing thing. I think the set after this one's the Team Rocket one. So we'll get those guys, which would be cool. But yeah, the Ho-Oh or Ethan's Ho-Oh. Its ability is just once during your turn, you can put 2 fire energy from your hand to one of your bench Ethan's Pokemon, which is kind of crazy. It can even power up itself, so you can just put 2 energy on that, and then you can like just use it with something like an Armor Rouge, if you want to like move energy. So this is one of the strongest abilities I think we've ever seen. Just a basic having
Hmm.
energy acceleration is kind of crazy to me. So it's very clear, and we'll look at the other cards that they're trying to make this like a viable archetype, and I think it definitely, if it has a card like this as its base, is definitely going to be super strong.
Welder.
Yeah,
It's
Welder.
literally Welder.
How
Who? Okay, we have to have a talk. Like, who the hell is Ethan?
do you not know who Ethan is?
Why is Ethan a thing? Is it just like playable character?
Yeah.
this could also be Ciaran. It could also be Aneil based on what you named him in the game. Like, why don't
No,
they
no,
just
like
use someone else
Ethan's his official name for Heart Gold.
in like the anime, right?
No, like in the video game.
But like, is this not the guy you're playing as?
Yeah, it is, but they also have a name. Like for example, the Ruby and Sapphire, it's like Brendan and May.
Yeah. I get that, but I'm just saying, like, why don't they just use someone who is always the same? Like, why don't they just use like I don't know, like Rourke or like Steven?
Well, like
Like, why did they?
For Zelda, it's Link, but you can name yourself whatever. In a lot of the
Can you
games.
name yourself in
Yeah, a lot of
Zelda?
the Zelda games you can name yourself, even though you play as
I actually
Link.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're like the true swordsman Ciaran. Like, you can do that. I
Yeah.
didn't know you could do that.
Well, bro,
That's
like
crazy.
Ethan, like put some respect on his name. Like he took down Prime Red. Like this is like
I
he
I
looks
don't
like
know
a
anything
kid.
about the I don't know anything about the anime or
No,
what
that's not
happened.
anime. That's how you played Heart Gold Soul Silver. Like you know how you can beat Red at the
Oh,
end.
you're saying like when you beat him and it is like
Yeah,
level 90 Pikachu at the end?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, fair enough. Respects, Ethan.
Yeah. So he gets his own supporter card too. Just search your deck for up to 3 in any combination of Ethan's Pokemon and basic fires and put them in your hand, which is okay. It combos. I'm gonna skip to the card it combos with. The Typhlosion, Ethan's Typhlosion for 1 energy does 40 plus 60 more for each Ethan's adventure in your discard. So if you have 4 in there, it does 280.
Yeah.
Which is decent, but going forward, with the EXs, they have more than 280. So it might not actually be enough. But still solid like for 1 energy. And then like the Quilava, jumping all over the place. Its ability is once during your turn you can search for Ethan's adventure. So I like this, the trend of, giving a stage 1 Pokemon just like a useful ability to like make it more viable. So the engine is there. It's a 1 prize deck, so you can like trade up into stuff. So I think it has potential for sure. Just don't know how
I think
strong
these
it's
like
gonna be.
one prize or sorry, these like stage ones would be so cool in a format with like broken time space where like
Yeah.
you get so much more utilization out of these stage ones and like virtually nobody would be playing rare candy. I think it'd be so cool.
Yeah, especially with broken time space, like you could like get Ethan's adventure, then get 3 Pokemon, level them all up at once. So
And then just
um,
evolve them. Yeah, like it's insane.
yeah, I think the deck will be like decent. And then they also have this card, Ethan's Macargo. The ability, if it has energy, no retreat, which is solid. But its attack for triple fire is discard up to 5 fire from this Pokemon. It does 70 for each discarded. It's like single prize Raging Bolt pretty much. Obviously, the combo with this is like you use Ho-Oh and some like Armor Rouge to keep powering it up. I mean, if you have 2 Ho-Ohs and Armor Rouge plus attach per turn, like you can get 5 every turn. You're doing 350. Like Super Retrieval basically does the whole combo again. So definitely, it's a single prizer, so it could definitely be a strong deck. So it does feel like it's been a while since we've had pure single prize attacking decks. So it does seem like it is nice that we're starting to get some printed that seem like somewhat viable. So,
I do like where they're going with this.
yeah. So yeah, definitely really solid. I think Ethan's archetype is going to be one of the stronger archetypes that we get. I did see that Hopsation is like kind of like failing in Japan, but we'll see if it
Was
gets
it?
better. Yeah, it's not doing that well. They also literally gave Ethan a Badoo counter. It's literally just 30 draw card. So
I love that.
if you want to have a Badoo counter in the Ethan's deck, you don't even need to play this in the Ethan's deck. Any deck can play this. This is just all right. Knock out Badoo.
Bring back baby Pokemon, man. Tyrogue Cleffa Wars, those are classics.
Yeah,
That was the original Badoo vs Pichu.
Yeah. Now we got Pichu versus Badoo. There's Misty. She's gonna be in the set too. The Magikarp, they just gave it the ability that it can't get damaged or attacks on the bench, which is great. I think more basic.
It's a
should
sick
have
art
this
too.
ability.
I really like that
Yeah,
art.
I like the art too.
Yeah.
And then Misty's Gyarados is discard the top 7 cards of your deck and does 70 for each Misty's Pokemon discard this way. I also have to jump up to the Psyduck to explain. The Psyduck is once during your turn, if the Pokemon's in play, you can discard a card from the bottom of your deck, and if you do, put the Psyduck on top of your deck. So obviously you're supposed to like use the Psyduck to put it on top and then like just do Gyarados.
Yeah.
Again, it's another 1 prize attacking deck, so it could have potential. They reprinted Sacred Ash, which shuffles 5 Pokemon from the discard back from the deck. But obviously, they're kind of like saying like you can combo these together. Yeah, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't really figure out the way to build this super strong. But 1 prize attackers are always solid. So, like I said before, I like that we're getting more 1 prize attackers, and like this is a very unique deck. Like so, I hope that the Misty Scatter deck is good.
Yeah. That's cool. This is exciting stuff to look forward to. Just like in a kind of stale point that we're at right now, it looks like we're going to be going in a different direction soon.
Yes, exactly. I don't know if there's any other new cards. I think that's it. Not that many new cards, but honestly, they were all really strong. So yeah, shout out to
Cool.
Twan as always for translating those and doing the good work they do for the community. So.
All right, I got a quick "Am I in the wrong?" before we hop off.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let me grab it. Okay, this is kind of long, so I'm gonna summarize it. Bottom line, is it wrong to saw block an opponent who's playing their first time in person?
No.
The new player also had a bad round 1 experience apparently, and you're facing them round 2 at locals. They're rolling your Lugia list, winning the prize trade. There are 2 prizes left, and basically he had to saw block them because that was essentially their only way of winning. And after turns of 0 damage saw blocking, they asked, "Are you just going to do this for the rest of the game?" And I said, "Yes, until you deck out." And they reluctantly scooped up their cards moments later, but they were ultimately a good sport about it. Am I in the wrong?
No, I mean, like, that's just a viable strategy. Like, are you in the wrong if you play Snorlax to a tournament? Like, no. And
No.
if they're a newer player, like, that's probably a good learning experience for them. Being like, oh, there's like alternate win conditions besides just taking prizes, having liabilities on my board, managing my resources. So, no, not in the wrong at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're subjective of what the game presents you, and sometimes the game presents you things that are less than optimal. I know I do realize like kind of sucks for the locals to get saw blocked. Like I get that,
Yeah.
but part of the game.
Now you gotta learn because eventually that'll happen to
Gotta
you.
learn.
So.
Yeah, just a quick one this week. I said the same thing. I was on a Discord call with him when he brought it up, so I was like, all right, just send this to me and I'll review it with Ciaran. But no, I think you're well within the rules of the game to do that kind of stuff, and it's not wrong to play Snorlax either.
100%.
Although maybe frowned upon a little bit. All right. Other than that, really quick episode. Just wanted to review Merida, look at some new cards, and now I got to get back to work. So
Nice.
we're back to real life. Next week we'll be back with a UIC preview video as well as recapping special event Puerto Rico and whatever else may happen this weekend because you never know with the Pokemon community. Ciaran, anything else?
No. Yeah, I got to meet a lot of cool people in Merida this weekend as well who liked my content and the podcast. So shout out everyone did that. It was a fantastic weekend in Merida. So, but no, other than that, nothing to shout out.
Shout out all mans. If you want some red end games, you want a bucket hat, you know where to find them down below. If you're new here from our last 2 episodes, I know we kind of blew up a little bit. We're here every Wednesday. Please do subscribe if you're interested in watching us more and more. We will be here every single Wednesday at 12 p.m. except this Wednesday because we are not serious. But next Wednesday, yeah, we'll try our best. Other than that, we will talk to y'all next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Peace.
Later.